Welcome to episode 3 of the Final Attack podcast. Today we are going to look at a game where international master Emory Tate II is playing white against an opponent on the Internet Chess Club ICC. So here you can see that in this position it's not looking very good for black. White has actually sacrificed one of his pieces. He's down a bishop, but in exchange he has these extremely powerful pawns on the 6th rank. In the Final Attack, we call these pawns the duos, the brothers that march down the board, and then we also have a chapter where we talk about the runners, and the runners are pass pawns that aid in a checkmating attack. A lot of times these pass pawns are just distractions that can just remove defenders away, because it's either, your defender stays and guards your king, or you let your opponent promote and get an extra queen. But in today's episode, we're going to see where the runners and the duo, they're actively involved in the checkmating attack on the king. Now, if you'd like to do a nice little calculating exercise in this position, it is actually white to move and mate in 9 moves. It could take 6 moves or 7 moves. It all depends on what black does. And then, of course, the reason it's mate in 9 is because black can play some unnecessary moves where he pitches away all of his pieces just to delay the inevitable. In this position, Emory played pawn to d7 check. And, of course, this pawn is not only protected by the other pawn, the other half of the duo, the e-pawn, it's also protected by the rook on d1. Now, remember, rooks belong behind passed pawns. And the reason we put our rooks behind passed pawns is because they basically aid in pushing these guys down the board. All right, so after d7 check, the way that it happened in the game is not very exciting. He goes king to e7, and of course this just lets Emory play d8 equals queen checkmate, and the game ends right away. But let's move over to the red analysis mode and see what happens if he had put up a little bit more resistance. All right, here we are now in our red analysis mode, and the first variation that we're going to look at is going to be the toughest one. It's going to be bishop takes d7. All right, and after bishop takes d7, we can play e takes d7 double check. Now, of course, this is not just a check from the pawn. The check is also being delivered from the rook. That was a discovered attack. The e-pawn got out of the way, and this opened up this discovery down the e-file. And of course, the only way to get out of double check is you have to move your king. There are no ways in chess to capture 2 pieces at once. And of course, there's no way to block both of these pieces at once, especially when there's a pawn right in your face. So whenever your king is in double check, the only solution to get out of check is he has to run for his life. All right, so let's look at king to d8. And of course, after king to d8, this is the toughest line. We're going to try to at least slow our opponent down. Don't let him promote right away. The problem with this move is that now knight to e6 check, and the knight is swinging in and is controlling the queening square. After the king moves, this is actually a really cool idea here that Tate would have played. You could have gone d8 equals queen. But the reason is not really to win material. The reason is not to try to come down there with your rook and checkmate him. You're actually giving away this pawn because you want to clear the d-file. You want the black king to have no way that he can hide behind your pawn anymore. So after rook takes d8, this is a really tough idea. This is one of the toughest moves you'll see in chess, the backwards knight move. But knight to g5 is discovered check. And if you just place king f8, a most natural move, then you can see the king is no longer protecting its rook. We'd come down, rook takes d8 check. The only thing they could do is block, and then now you have your choice. You could checkmate them with your rook on d8 if you wanted to, or in this position you could go and you could checkmate them with the rook on e1 as well. Now let's go back again. Pawn d7 check, bishop takes d7, right? E takes d7, double check, and then let's look at this line within the line. Now whenever we have a line within the line inside the final attack, then we switch over to the green analysis mode. All right, here we are again in the position we just left before. E takes d7 double check, and now we're going to look at the move king to f8. And king to f8 is going to end very, very similarly to the last line. It actually just makes it happen quicker, all right, because we would promote. And of course, again, now we are seeing why you want to have your rook behind the passed pawns. Rook takes d8, rook takes d8 check, and once again, it's the same line. You have to block, and then I can come down with this rook again with rook here, and we can play rook e takes e8. Or, of course, we could play the rook on d8 takes e8. They're both checkmate because the knight is also protecting the f7 square in front of the black king. All right, now let's go back to the beginning position where we played pawn d7 check. And we're going to look at one other red analysis mode. Instead of bishop takes d7, what would happen if he goes knight takes d7? And it's very, very similar. E takes d7, unloads another double check. The king would have to run to d8. And after we play rook to e8 check, protected by our pawn on f7, he's anchoring that rook in, king to c7, and we would see the same line as we saw on one of the other variations with d8 equals queen, which is also checkmate. And now for the longest variation, the mate in 9, pawn d7 check. It's a lot of the same themes that we've seen over and over. Bishop takes d7, e takes double check, king d8, right? And we talked about this before. Knight e6 is check, guarding the queening square. King to e7, d8 equals queen. Rook takes d8, and then we said knight g5 is a discovery. Now, the reason that this is a mate in 9 is because black can just pitch the knight away, which delays things for a move. Rook takes e4 check. And then he can pitch his rook away, which delays things for a move. Rook takes e5 check. And after king to f8, the same theme with the rook coming down to the back rank, delivering checkmate. Our knight on g5 is still guarding f7. And this was just excellent, excellent teamwork by all white's attacking pieces. So a very nice lesson from the OG Emory Tate, showing us the power that the runners, the passed pawns, the power of the duo, and the power of just suffocating your opponent in the center and what that can create as far as attacking chances against your opponent's king. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to pick up a copy of The Final Attack, Volume 1, Ascend, at www.thefinalattack.com. For more in-depth analysis, follow us on YouTube at Final Attack Tate and at _Final Attack on X.